Greetings, fellow voyagers. And again, we embark on a journey through time, space, consciousness, and awareness, inner and outer, high and low. So join me as we explore a conversation with Thoth, an entity associated with great learning, wisdom, and having a very ancient relationship with man. So once again, we start the conversation. Please be aware that these recordings have the nature of being hypnotic and may lead some people into trance. As usual, consider refraining from driving or operating heavy machinery. Enjoy. Thoth. I am inclined to call you Master Thoth. What's your view on that? As I've had a relationship with humans for so many millennia, and I have acted as a teacher and a recorder of information, it is normal to use that title for me as it has been used by countless people, countless times over millions of years. So it may feel natural to address me as master, as a teacher, as a sign of respect, and simply slipping into the collective memory. I have said before that I am in no way a god, and no one has ever been guided to worship me. Although my images, literally graven images as they are carved into stone, as one can see on Egyptian edifices, my images have been used to spark, inspire, or remind the student of certain layers of information. I will remind you all once again that human words, especially in this current time, are very limited, twisted, convoluted, and misleading. And so one must listen with the heart and the mind and the entire body, really, as well as the higher consciousness and what you may call the unconscious. So choose to hear me on multiple layers and use the words as just a necessary jumping off point, if you will. However, they could never truly convey a great body of knowledge. And so when I give you the words that I was represented in a graven image as a symbol, realize that that symbol, that reminder, resonated on multiple levels in this dimension that you're in and in others. And to this day, when you see that image, that symbol, it is simply an archetype. It is an archetype of countless meanings, and of meanings unique to each viewer, or in this case, each listener that imagines the image in their mind. And so anyone that imagines my image and feels some connection to it has a direct relationship with me, not as a god to be worshipped or followed, but as a voluntary choice of teacher or tutor or inspiration to levels of higher knowledge, if you will. And so this is why some of my students call me master. You are definitely one of my students. You have felt a kinship with me from a very young age, and that has gone back through multiple lifetimes, and it extends through multiple dimensions. Thoth, what kind of guidance are you here to give your students? Clearly I am associated with the, quote, Western wisdom teachings, coming down from ancient Egypt and then going through ancient Greece as Hermes. You see Hermes as a much more superficial character, shall we say, but there was more to Hermes than the current scholar would recognize. We can go into that at a later transmission. For now, we will focus on the personality of Thoth. Of course, my true personality, if you could call it that, is so vast that it is indescribable. Thoth is merely a small point in time and space for you to rest your focus, a point that represents knowledge, true knowledge, timeless knowledge, perhaps alchemy, magic, deep spiritual understanding, the understanding of laws of nature, time and space, an understanding of the nature of reality. These are some of the things I am inviting students to explore. It's virtually impossible for me to summarize what I am here to teach, but I think you get the idea. And once again, go into your heart, your mind, your subconscious, your superconscious, your higher self, whatever you want to call it. Feel the answer from there. Those of you who are students will find your way to me. Those of you who are merely curious will receive benefit as well. Tell me about this knowledge of the Western tradition, Thoth. What does that even mean? It mostly refers to the lineage that goes back, like I said, through ancient Greece and ancient Egypt. It is a vast body of knowledge, most of it very, very submerged at this point. There are small flickers of it around you, but for the most part, it is dormant. Now, those who have sought it have found it, and those are what you call the mystery schools. There's some negativity or darkness associated with mystery schools, and that is simply because knowledge is neutral. It can be used for service of self or service of others, for the ego or for the greater good. So the knowledge may be vilified, but that is extremely ignorant and immature. A common metaphor humans may use is a knife may be used to cut up healthy food and make a delicious meal, or a knife can be used to kill. Should we outlaw knives? Should we vilify knives? It's a very primitive concept in regards to vilifying knowledge. Now, knowledge can be received from master to teacher. It can be received from books, papyri. It can be received through visiting the Akashic records. I help manage the Akashic records. Knowledge can be received in multiple ways. The main focus of the student in the beginning should just be the intent to receive proper knowledge, truth. Once that intent is focused and honed, it will guide the student. Thoth, how would the student begin to focus and hone their intention? This world is full of many distractions and untruths. What you call meditation would be a process. Now, when I refer to meditation, this is only because there is a lack of useful words in your language for this state. Now, what you refer to as meditation in my world could have 1,000 words or meanings. So we're using a very clumsy, primitive approach to communication. So always realize that and feel the communication with your whole self. So when we refer to meditation, we are not referring to what some people may call a Zen meditation or an empty mind meditation. Now, this is extremely useful, and it is certainly a tool that will be important. But there is also the meditation of intention, clearing out all extraneous information, all distraction. In this case, for example, say you look at a single candle flame and focus on your intent of receiving true knowledge in whatever form it is meant to come. In the process, relaxing your body, letting all other cares or concerns fall away, and not making this a tedious or difficult exercise, reveling in that intent, enjoying that intent, being excited about that intent, for it surely is exciting. It's the most exciting journey one can undertake in life. Some could even call it the hero's journey. So there is nothing more thrilling than embarking with this intent and feeling that through your whole body. That in of itself is a type of meditation for the novice to begin with. Thank you, Thoth. I think I understand. I certainly have this intent, but I've never considered meditating on it with that type of focus. You are a student who has not necessarily considered it in that way, but you do consider it as a vibration filling up your entire body with an enthusiasm and an excitement. This is very useful. You are turning yourself into a tuning fork, so to speak. You tune this fork, you vibrate at that tone, and you've noticed, which is very exciting for you, that you do attract knowledge, you do create the synchronicities, you do get on a path. I have come to you in visions and dreams and meditation. I show up. Now you all have free will. I do not show up unbidden. I have never been known as a pushy type. You certainly are not that, Thoth. I have noticed that I must request information, request contact. And it was after great pleading and praying and desire on my part that I ever get any real information or contact from any helpful entity. Yes, that is true. And that is a law. That is the nature of the universe. Now, what you would call negative entities, they work differently, as you well know. And that'll be the subject of a later transmission. However, you do notice that you go through many dark periods, you go through many lost phases, you go through much confusion and doubt and lack of faith. Now, of course, this is normal, but for you it becomes very dramatic when you've had the highs and the excitement of feeling as if you were on your path. Yes, Thoth, I get depressed, I get disillusioned, I get very, very frustrated, and then I get angry, and I feel a sense of abandonment by source energy, by the Creator. I don't feel abandoned by you per se, but I feel like your information at some points feels useless to me. Most of this is about how to function in what we would call the 3D material world. So I get the highs and the lows, the contrast of that spiritual fire and vibration of excitement and feeling like I am really on track. And then I feel as if I fall off the track and I'm stuck in a dense, dark, stuck place that is very sad, depressing, apathetic, many low emotions. And I get mad, and I don't get mad at you exactly, but I feel like I have lost connection. I have lost guidance. I have lost companionship. It is very alone. What do you have to say about that? Well, you get lazy. You quit meditating. You treat your body poorly, eat things that are incompatible with it. You know all these things. You don't exercise. So you'll notice I'm talking about lack of your care of your physical structure, and then you wonder why you have problems in the physical world. And then lack of care of your mind, losing focus, going into wrong thought patterns. We try to avoid the use of, quote, negative thought patterns. Sometimes it's difficult to use other words, but humans have gotten themselves into quite a quagmire of these applications of words like binary, non-binary, negative, positive, duality, non-duality. You've mixed it all up, thrown it all over the place, and confused yourself and tied yourself into knots. So for the most that we can do it, we will use the words negative and positive related to polarities in fact, a scientific way. Of course, Hermetics is very scientific. It is the basis of science as humans can understand it. In Hermetics, negative and positive, Hermetics, of course, being named after me as Hermes, Hermetics, in that sense, would use negative and positive as nothing to do with what you all term negative as a dark force or demonic force. So let's try to be clear on that. But when you go to these, quote, dark states, it's not appropriate for us to just casually call them negative states. So what have you done? You've put your body in imbalance through all nature of problems. And we will say addictions, and addictions are mental and physical. Your addictions that you've struggled with most are sugar and caffeine. And these are considered minor addictions by your society. They are in no way minor. They are incredibly destructive from a very young age. At least people usually don't get hooked on heroin till after their teenage years, and they've had experiences not addicted to heroin. Babies are addicted to sugar. They have no contrast. They have no other experience. So don't think that these are minor addictions. And you know, of course, they have been very destructive to you. That alone will throw you off your, quote, spiritual path. Again, the word spiritual is very lacking, crude, and even an ignorant word to use, but we will go over alternatives later. For now, we'll just use that so we don't go on a tangent. But these so-called minor addictions have derailed you for much of your life. So there's that. My guidance or companionship will not be felt in a moment of extremely low blood sugar, or not be felt in a moment of being overly caffeinated or of complete adrenal fatigue, which you've put yourself into. So there's that. You also don't stay hydrated. And then there's the mental addictions. You say you want to have faith in good, faith in a higher power, faith in yourself, faith in things working out. And yet almost as a game, as a distraction, as an experiment, you indulge in what you would call, quote, negative thinking. We would call this addicted thinking, distracted thinking. This doesn't serve you. You know it doesn't serve you. But like a child, you push boundaries just to see what you can get away with, ignoring that there are laws of nature, laws of reality, laws of the universe. You'll never, quote, win against them. There's nothing to win there. The way they're set up is perfection. You need to start embracing that is perfection. Perfection isn't a joyous dance through the field of flowers. Perfection is integrating yourself with what is. It's truly so simple, and yet so incredibly complicated for humans right now, because they have been so confused and misled and gotten so far off the path that the concepts of basic truth and reality have become foreign to a portion of their mind. I say a portion of the mind because your mind is indeed fractured. Your spirit is indeed fractured. So it is like you're operating schizophrenically with many minds and many spirits. And that is partly why you're so confused. Thank you, Thoth. I guess I'm beginning to see, but clearly it's overwhelming amounts of information. And it will be a long journey recovering this information. Yes, of course it will be a long journey. Perhaps infinite lifetimes, but that's okay. That trite truism you have of enjoying the journey and not focusing on the destination couldn't be more applicable than to this. And of course, I come from a perspective where truth is sublimely enjoyable. You will begin to see this as you embrace the fractal nature of reality, as you embrace the holographic nature of the universe. You will begin to see the enjoyment of just being. That does give me hope, Thoth. And every day I work on my physical and mental habits. It's been incredibly difficult. Well, there you use the word work. And of course, words are power. Words are spells. Consider your words. Is work a good thing for you? I suspect not. Thoth, I know you are having the intent of your words reaching others, and that is why I'm doing these recordings. I have always enjoyed our private conversations immensely, but now I am bringing our private conversations to the public. Do you have anything to say to the public or to share? Of course, I am already saying and sharing much. It is just the beginning. We can consider these first recordings simply an introduction. So I say greetings to all your fellow brothers and sisters out there. This is Thoth. I am here to teach. Take it or leave it. You have free will. I have always been here to teach. While I am not what you would call a warm, fuzzy character, I can indeed take you by the hand and be a companion on what will often be a lonely and difficult road. I have noticed that many humans simply want to know they're not alone. They want a companion. And beyond that, they don't demand much. They are very capable. And so as you imagine a long, dusty road, if you imagine someone walking beside you, it doesn't seem so bad. This gentle conversation can continue for countless other people. It will never be invasive. It will never take anyone over. Of course, it has never been in any way demonic, which will be the programming that some people have when they hear that there's a conversation with Thoth. In a sense, I was a man just like you. In a sense, I feel responsibilities to help people around me just like you. It's nothing complicated. I just have more awareness in this moment than you may have. But as a spirit, indeed you are just as big as me. Over time you will begin to see this. So when I say imagine a long dusty road ahead of you, perhaps that evokes a place like Egypt, the place I've been most associated with, the place on earth where I spent a tremendous amount of time. Of course, it was much wetter back then, but that's another story for another time. But really what I want to say about this long road is that, like your Bible refers to, the road to truth is straight and narrow. While we would like to imagine forging our own winding, exciting path through truth and reality, eventually you will find that the road to truth is straight and narrow. Now, instead of seeming dull and boring, you will come to realize that, like laser focus, like I was saying about that singularity of intent, when you vibrate in tune with it, when you see it for what it is, the clarity itself is intoxicating. The journey deep into truth is fascinating. So don't tell yourself that a straight, long road is not exciting and therefore create drama and unnecessary lagging and slowness and distraction. There is no need for that. Simply accept these words as true. For I don't say that to overtake your free will. I say that because you are exhausted. You have been trying every other way. So allow the concept of the straight and the narrow road to resonate within you. I'm not saying I am the road. I'm not saying I created the road. I'm not saying that my knowledge alone will guide you down this road. You don't really need me at all. Go within yourself and find that straight and narrow road. I am simply a companion for those who feel a resonance with me. Just as you may enjoy walking a long path with a friend, to some of you, I have already been that friend for millennia. So take this concept within yourself. Allow it to expand, to swirl around, turn it over, examine it, meditate on it, or just set it aside and notice your feelings. There's nothing more you need to do at this point. But no, you do not have to be alone. That is literally a killer for many humans. So if you want a teacher, I am Thoth. I have already given you many resources, but I will continue through this vehicle to give you more, to offer you a sense of companionship, and to continue giving the wisdom to humanity that I have been giving for millions of years. So go forth on your great journey, student. Go forth on your great journey, seeker. And know the light is within you.